New tonight at 6 o'clock, Pennsylvania is putting the brakes on one ambulance and transportation company.
State inspectors found that some vehicles as well as drivers, they're not road ready to respond to your emergency. NBC 10 investigative reporter Harry Hairston has been working on this story for nearly a week now. Harry, what have you uncovered?
Well, Jim and Renee, what people in the industry are calling an unprecedented move, two state agencies say they have launched investigations into Keystone Quality Transport, inspecting the company's vehicles and personnel, taking some vehicles and drivers off the road. These orange stickers on the back of ambulances say it all. Out of service by the Pennsylvania Department of Health Bureau of Emergency Medical Services.
We look at things like, do they have the minimum equipment? If they're carrying drugs and devices that may have expiration dates, are they expired?
Richard Gibbons, director of the State Bureau of EMS, confirms Keystone is under investigation. He declined to talk specifics, but says when an ambulance gets one of these stickers, there's a problem.
There can be a variety of issues, but generally there's something about the vehicle that makes it an immediate threat to, or potential immediate threat to life safety, and therefore we put it out of service until it's corrected.
A source tells us the state red tagged 30 ambulances, taking them off the road. I went to Keystone for comment.
The numbers of those were red tagged were how many?
I'm not really sure.
But you got to know, as president and CEO, approximately how many vans you have out of service, wouldn't you?
Who said I was president and CEO?
Are you Steve Barr?
Yes. I didn't introduce myself that way, huh?
Well, I did my homework.
Oh, okay.
Steve Barr does say the inspection caught him by surprise.
Well, it was a pop-up inspection.
And just when Keystone had his hands full with the health department, entered the Public Utility Commission. The PUC says a complaint from the Department of Health has them investigating transport drivers, those who pick up clients with some medical needs. The commission is concerned some drivers may not have the proper medical paperwork to prove they're fit to drive.
Several drivers have been taken out of service at this point for the lack of possession of a medical card.
The fact is, we've been in business for 20 years, and you know, we have a clean record with the Pennsylvania Department of Health and an excellent safety record in the region.
Barr says the company already had some of its ambulances out of service before the state's investigation, but couldn't say how many. Barr says he's cooperating with the state and adds his company has done nothing wrong.
New tonight, more safety concerns with an ambulance company that operates in Delaware County and Philadelphia. The NBC 10 investigators first exposed the company last week. No one ambulance loses a tire with a sick infant on board. Here's NBC 10's Harry Hairston and the NBC 10 investigators with more on a company already embroiled in a state investigation.
You get into an ambulance, you expect to get to where you need to go, not end up broken down on the side of the road needing more emergency help. These are pictures taken by the company that towed an M-Star ambulance owned by Keystone Quality Transport. It broke down on the Garden State Parkway last Thursday. Inside an infant, paramedics had to medevac to St. Christopher's Hospital. The ambulance broke down just days after we exposed two state safety investigations into Keystone, where dozens of vehicles and 5 drivers were taken off the streets. I went to see Keystone's president for comment. But 40 minutes later, the press was a no-show. Hello? Is anybody going to talk to me? I could hear people talking, but no one would answer the door. Kurt? But the company's PR representative did answer his phone, telling me, quote, the ambulance simply hit an object in the road and had a flat tire. But the general manager of Courthouse Towing, who's been in business for 17 years, tells us he doesn't think so.
No, that wasn't something that you could just run over, because in the event that was, then both tires would be flat and they would still be intact.
Take a close look. The rear tire is missing.
It was not just a flat tire.
Daniel Skull says the lug nuts and studs that hold the tire were broken.
We have to rely on our ambulances to be in tip-top shape for the specific reasons when we need to go somewhere and be transported. We rely on that to save our life.
The tow truck company also tells us the tire that came off the ambulance was never found. Keystone says 80% of their vehicles taken off the road by state inspectors are now back in service. For the investigators, Harry Hairston, NBC 10 News.
Well, if you own a car, you have to get it inspected.
Sure, that means paying for the inspection as well as any repairs. But as Harry Hairston and the NBC 10 investigators discovered, there is a Pennsylvania state policy that allows certain people to inspect their own vehicles. Here's Harry with more.
Yeah, now that's right. PennDOT has a policy allowing around 1,400 companies with fleets of 15 or more vehicles to inspect those vehicles with limited oversight. For you, it can be a gut-wrenching event. Taking your car for its annual state inspection, paying the fee, and hoping there are no repairs. But some companies and government agencies don't have to worry about that. They're allowed to inspect their own vehicles.
I'm the state auditor.
We follow Auditor Dave Wolpert through the audit process as he makes a visit to a PennDOT inspection station where PennDOT inspects some of its vehicles. Wolpert goes through document after document after document, then checks the mechanic's licenses.
There's that one.
And looks for inspection tools.
Run out dial indicators.
But what we never see him look at is a vehicle.
You don't look at the vehicle itself that's been inspected. Why?
That's not part of our audit. That's not part of the inspection audit for us to look at the current records.
Wolpert says PennDOT does not require auditors to compare the inspection paperwork to the vehicles. Auditors don't check to see if the mechanics actually made any needed repairs.
If somebody wanted to cut a corner and say, well, we'll give the inspection although we didn't change the brakes as we possibly should have, is that possible?
That is possible.
We first learned about the self-inspection policy while investigating allegations Keystone Quality Transport Ambulance Company failed to meet some safety standards. The State Department of Health and the Pennsylvania Utility Commission took dozens of Keystone's ambulances and vans out of service. That's when the NBC 10 investigators learned Keystone inspected its own vehicles.
It sounds like it's an honor system.
Well, to some extent, it is an honor system.
PennDOT spokesperson Richard Kirkpatrick says the self-inspection policy started in 1929. Herbert Hoover was president. Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run, and America entered the Great Depression.
Systems change all the time. Is that system outdated? Does it need to be updated?
Again, I can't speculate on that. Our system, we feel, has been effective.
Following our reports on Keystone Quality Transport, state police served the company with 20 warrants, alleging forgery, tampering with records, and fraud. Police have not filed charges. But PennDOT suspended Keystone as an official safety inspection station for 34 months. The ambulance company spokesperson tells us Keystone will no longer inspect its own vehicles, even after the suspension is lifted. Still, almost 1,400 companies and government agencies will continue to self-inspect.
I think that is outrageous.
Pennsylvania State Senator Shirley Kitchen serves on the Transportation Committee.
We have to have a foolproof system where we know that the vehicles are safe, and maybe it will not be self-inspections.
Senator Kitchen plans on doing more research on the PennDOT policy.
We're more than willing to work with our team to draft legislation.
In the meantime, an 85-year-old policy continues.
So it's still the honor system?
Very much so.
Should that be changed?
No. There's a lot of honest people out there. Most of our shops, 99% of all our shops are very honest.
State Senator Kitchen tells us January is the earliest anything can happen to change the self-inspection policy. The state police investigation into Keystone Quality Transportation is ongoing. For the investigators, Harry Hairston, NBC 10 News.